Hello, I'm Celebrant Kate, and I'm here today to explain what a celebrant does at a funeral. So, a funeral can be an extremely upsetting time, obviously, for everyone. One of the first things you'll be asked when you go to a funeral director, having lost someone you love, is do you want a religious or non-religious ceremony? If you say religious, then they will usually present you with a choice of the kind of religious leader that you want. So, for example, a vicar or an imam or someone who would conduct the funeral in your faith. If you say non-religious or you're not sure, then they would usually pass you to a celebrant. That doesn't mean you can't have a religious ceremony. Of course you can. You can have a ceremony which has anything in it that you want. So, for example, some of the services that I conduct as a celebrant include prayers, hymns, they also include birdsong, they can include poems, they can include letters, readings. They've included in the past people just talking about the person they've lost. They can be held in a crematorium or at a graveside, or more and more commonly, they're held somewhere where you want to be. So, for example, they could be held in your back garden. Not many people realise that, but it's true. If you speak to your funeral director, they can arrange for you to have your person that you love in your back garden for a service led by a celebrant and then taken for direct cremation afterwards or taken to a burial site. It's your choice. The positives of this mean that you can have the funeral that you want for as long as you want. And it particularly suits people who want to celebrate a life that was so full that really it's not going to fit into the 40 minutes that you're allowed at a crematorium. That's not to say, however, that a crematorium ceremony is a bad thing. They can be absolutely wonderful. Recently, for example, I had a ceremony where the person was a bird watcher. So he came in to birdsong and left to birdsong. One of his favourite songs was Little Boxes because he'd learned to sing it as a child, so we had that. His partner read a beautiful and very funny story from their life together. And I read some poems about birdwatching, and we also talked about his wonderful life and what an amazing person he was. Luckily, his interest in Sunderland Football Club was reciprocated, and the wonderful chairman of Sunderland Football Club wrote a personal letter which was read out. So there are so many aspects to a celebrant-led funeral. It's not boring, and it can be as simple as you want, but it can also be a true celebration of your life and your loved one's life and who you were to each other. Of course, you can also lead your own ceremony, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I have just been the compere, just the person that's there to introduce each new person and to make sure that we keep to times and that the committal is done with due respect. So that's what a celebrant does. The other wonderful thing is that we're able to be there in between when you first acknowledge and go to register your partner or loved one's death, and we can be there until the funeral and after if needed. So we can be there when you've got a question or when you think of something you'd like to add. I like to make sure that each and every one of my celebrant-led funerals is particularly special and totally written from scratch for the person who has died. I like to help you find the words, and I'm there to support you throughout the weeks leading to the ceremony and after. So that is what a celebrant-led funeral looks like, and I also conduct many other ceremonies which I'll be talking about later. If you're interested, then you can always find out more on my website and on my Facebook page, or ask for me by name at your funeral director. Thank you.